How often have you found yourself knowing exactly what you want to do? So whether it's go to the gym or finish that email or sit down and work on the credit project and then you just don't do it. Why do we sabotage ourselves in that way, even when our goals are really super crystal clear? Well, today on this video, I want to talk more about this and unpack the hidden psychological factors behind this, look at some of the philosophy behind this, and explore what actually can help us to act on what we know is right and what we know is going to get us closer to our goals. I remember sitting at my desk about a year ago, probably. There was a stack of books next to me that were unopened and needed to be read for my research. There was a half-written article in front of me that I needed to finish writing, and yet I was scrolling through Instagram. I made my fifth cup of tea before lunchtime. I stared out the window for a full 20 minutes. I felt like I was betraying myself, but I wasn't really. I was experiencing something that is absolutely universal, and there's a name for that. It's called the intention-behaviour gap. And that's what we're looking at today, because this is a really, really common thing, that gap between something that we know that we want to do, whether it's good for us or we have to do it, or we know that it's a project or a goal that we want to begin working toward, and then what we actually do, which is usually not doing that thing. So the gap between our intention and our behavior is a really, really interesting one. And in this video, I'll be exploring the psychology behind this, philosophy behind this, and then at the end, giving you some really practical strategies to work on bridging this gap. So let's begin by talking a little bit about the brain and something that can be referred to as hot versus cold cognition. So the part of our brain that knows what to do, that knows how to get ahead, knows how to meet our goals, that's the rational part of our brain. But there's another part of our brain that also wants to find immediate comfort. And that part of our brain that wants immediate comfort usually wins out. I talk a lot more about that mechanism in some of my other videos. So this is why the idea of I should go to the gym usually loses out to the idea of I'm going to scroll Instagram for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or for an hour. So these two different parts of our brain, they're not really sort of physical parts of our brain. They're cognitive processes that are quite complex in how they operate, but we can think of them as hot versus cold cognition. So we can think of hot cognition as something that is emotionally activated, something that has a charge, something that feels really, really good. So the idea of getting that constant stream of new input by scrolling through Instagram or YouTube videos or Reddit or whatever your drug of choice in that dopamine fueling area is, that feels really emotionally activating and exciting. There's something else, that cold cognition part of our thinking, that doesn't feel as activating, that doesn't feel as immediate, as necessary. Which of these usually wins out? Well, it's that hot cognition. Our brain is evolutionarily wired to drive us toward the thing that is most activating in the moment. So how do we then begin to toy around with that a little bit? Well, I think one of the most important things that we can do here is start small on the new task. Do something for 2 to 3 minutes. And you can say to yourself, I would rather go to social media than go to the gym right now. But what I can do for the next minute or 2 minutes is lay out my gym clothes or get my gym clothes on. Momentum oftentimes follows. This is really, really important. If we are priming the pump, suddenly we're taking something that was once not particularly activating for us, and we are making it more present, more real, more of that hot cognition. And for a deeper dive into this type of habit formation work and cognitive strategies behind this, I'll pop a link below to my Substack, The Art of Academic Practice, which goes a lot more into this as well. But I want to talk now a little bit more about some of the philosophical approaches to that gap we find between what we know that we should do and what we're actually doing. Aristotle actually wrote about this. Aristotle, of all people, he called it akrasia, knowing the good, but failing to do it. Okay, so this isn't when we don't know what's good for us. It's not when we don't know what we should be eating for a healthy, strong body. It's not when we don't know what positive habits we should be undertaking to meet our goals. It isn't when we don't know how to show up in a way that earns us the respect and credibility in our professions that we're aspiring to. That's not what he was talking about, and that's not what I'm talking about in this video. It's when we know what to do and then we're not doing it. It's when we know what to eat to fuel our bodies in a healthful way. It's when we know what to do in terms of movement and exercise to give us strength and energy. It's when we know what little tasks we need to undertake to meet our goals, and then we just don't do it. Now, akrasia isn't laziness, and sometimes people dismiss this as just laziness, that we're too lazy to do what we know that we want to do. It's really philosophically much more complex than that. It's a tension between reason and desire. On the one hand, we have that reason, which is saying that, this is actually what you should be doing. This is going to help you get to where you want to be tomorrow, next week, next month, and the year ahead. We also have desire, that more human want to find comfort. And even the wisest philosopher experiences this. Did Aristotle find that tension between reason and desire? Absolutely. That's why he was writing about this. So what we can do when we are finding ourselves caught in that is pause and identify that particular friction, that fear or discomfort or boredom that is causing us to not do what we know we should be doing. Okay, there's always going to be a friction there. Maybe we know that we should be going to the gym, but we aren't going to the gym. Pause and ask yourself, what is creating that friction? What is making me not do that? Maybe it is fear in that particular instance, fear of going to the gym. Maybe it is a fear of not knowing enough, not what to do at the gym. Maybe it is a discomfort that you're worried that you will fail by only going to the gym once and then never going back. So you may as well never start again. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe you don't enjoy going to the gym. So you just sort of put up that wall and say, well, I'm not going to go to the gym. Even that small act of identifying what our friction point is helps us find a wedge here, helps us to better understand that tension between reason and desire. And as I say in this channel a lot, the most important thing we can do as a first step to create change is to notice and observe. Okay, we don't change anything. We don't become better versions of ourselves if we don't first consciously notice what is limiting us and what is holding us back. Our body leads the mind. I've been talking a lot about philosophy, I've been talking a lot about psychology, but in many really interesting ways, this sort of like physical meat suit that we're wearing, it is not only just literally moving our brains and cognition around, but it's also kind of metaphorically doing that as well. And sometimes a small physical movement primes us physiologically. I've already spoken about how taking one small action can prime us psychologically, but taking one small physical action also primes us physiologically. This is why these small micro actions that we can create, putting out our running shoes the night before, putting our journal onto our bedside table because we know that we're going to get up the next morning and write 3 longhand pages in the style of Julia Cameron's morning pages. These help to prime the pump in a really, really valuable way. These aren't things that change overnight. So the gap we find between um, logic and what we want to do, what we know is right for us, and the things that we desire because they're more comfortable, that is a gulf that takes a little bit of time to get across. We don't do it in one massive leap. We don't go from one point to another in one day. We do it by small incremental actions. And the way that we help those small incremental actions over time is continue to connect them to our identity. So we take these small micro actions and we stop thinking of them as just things that we do that are small and insignificant, and we think of those small micro actions as part of a new sense of self. So instead of, I should write today, I should work on my novel today, whatever, we begin to think, I am a writer who shows up daily. Instead of, I should go to the gym today, we think, I am a budding athlete who regularly trains at the gym. Instead of thinking, I should get done that project at work that's going to put me in line for a promotion, we think, I am showing what my value, strengths, and contributions are in my professional life in ways that support me now, always, and forever. So these small actions that we're doing, whether it is laying out your gym clothes, putting your notebook by the side of your bed, writing down your to-dos first thing in the morning so they're by you, these small actions, when we shift them from being just small actions to part of our identity, that gap begins to become smaller. Suddenly, what we know that we want to do, what we know that we need to do, because it's going to help us be the person we want to be in the future, suddenly that becomes so much closer to who we actually are. So when we combine an understanding of the brain and philosophy and how these types of embodied micro actions and identity alignment can help us, we really begin to bridge that gap between knowing and doing. Okay, so the problem here was that we don't know what to do to get ahead. It's that we know what to do and then we just don't do it. Imagine sort of a stream, maybe going through woods or maybe down a small little mountain. The mind provides the direction of that stream. The body provides the flow of that stream. And our identity creates that riverbank of that stream. Okay, so we want that stream to be flowing gently and easily and comfortably, but continuously as well. So we need the mind to show us which direction that needs to be going in. The stream can't try to go this way or that way. The stream needs to be continuously flowing gently downhill. We need the body to physically create that momentum, that gentle momentum of the water. And we need our sense of identity, that I am a writer, or I am an athlete, or I am a healthy person, or I am a creative mother, or I am a successful executive, whatever it might be. That provides the riverbanks for us. It contains this flow that leads us to where we intend to be in our future. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What small step you'll take today to align your knowing with your doing? Comment below, please do. And if this video helped you, be sure to subscribe for more explorations of where the world of ideas and thinking meets everyday life. And I'll pop some links below to some other sources that might be useful for you. Until next time, stay well. I'll see you then.